Trading Kobe on draft night. In 1996, the Charlotte Hornets drafted a skinny teenager named Kobe Bryant with the 13th pick. Instead of keeping him, they traded him to the Lakers for veteran center Vlade Divac, thinking it was a safe move. Divac was solid, but the Hornets never imagined Kobe would become one of the greatest players in history. He went on to win 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, and cement his place as a global icon. Charlotte, meanwhile, faded into obscurity, known more for what they gave away than what built.
That's just unguardable, and that's not just a problem for them.
The real mistake wasn't just trading Kobe, it was underestimating his drive, his mentality, and his ability to reshape a franchise. That one decision handed the Lakers a cornerstone for 2 decades, while Charlotte kept chasing relevance. It showed the league how dangerous it can be to prioritize short-term stability over long-term greatness. And what came after made this lesson unforgettable. The Blazers passing on Durant. The 2007 draft gave Portland a franchise-altering decision: pick Kevin Durant or Greg Oden. They went with Oden, a dominant college center who scouts believed would anchor their team for a decade. The problem? Injuries ruined Oden's career before it ever truly started. Durant, meanwhile, became one of the most unstoppable scorers the NBA has ever seen. An MVP, Finals MVP, and a player who bent defenses at will. The Blazers missed out on not only a star, but an era-defining player who could have reshaped the franchise's destiny. Instead, Portland watched Durant dominate for Oklahoma City, Golden State, and Brooklyn, while they struggled to build around lesser stars. The lesson was clear. Sometimes going with the safe, traditional choice isn't safe at all. Passing on Durant didn't just hurt Portland, it changed the balance of power in the entire Western Conference, and it gets worse, because this wasn't their only draft blunder. Trusting Magic as coach. In 1994, the Lakers tried something flashy. They made Magic Johnson their head coach. On paper, it was a dream. One of the greatest players of all time, leading from the sidelines. In reality, it was a disaster. Magic lasted only 16 games, going 5-11 before stepping down. His frustration was clear. He couldn't understand why players couldn't see the game as quickly as he did, and the locker room struggled to adjust to having their idol suddenly give them orders. The move stalled the Lakers' progress and proved that superstar talent doesn't always translate into coaching success. What the franchise needed was a strategist who could manage personalities and teach fundamentals, not someone relying on charisma alone. The experiment was short-lived, but unforgettable, and it served as a warning. You can't rely on nostalgia to build a winning future. But that's not all. Another draft decision would haunt them even more, passing on Carmelo Anthony. In 2003, the Detroit Pistons had the 2nd pick in one of the most legendary drafts ever. Instead of selecting Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, or Dwyane Wade, they chose Darko Milicic. While Detroit still won the 2004 title thanks to their defensive core, the mistake became clearer each year. Carmelo would have given them an elite scorer to pair with their rugged defense, possibly extending their championship window for years. Darko, meanwhile, barely contributed and was gone within a few seasons. The Pistons peaked during the mid-2000s. The New York Knicks became the NBA's cautionary tale under executive Isiah Thomas. Instead of building patiently, Thomas handed out bloated contracts and traded away draft picks for fading stars. Jerome James got overpaid, Stephon Marbury clashed with coaches, and Eddie Curry cost them multiple first-rounders. The team became a punchline, buried under financial chaos and locker room dysfunction. Madison Square Garden still sold out, but the Knicks weren't building toward anything. The biggest damage wasn't just losing games, it was losing years of potential growth. When opportunities for top free agents arrived, New York didn't have the cap space or stability to seize them. While rivals built with patience, the Knicks spiraled in headlines. It showed how desperation and bad management can cripple even the most valuable franchises. And it gets crazier, because their mistakes directly fueled success for other teams across the league. Ban on Spalding's new ball. In 2006, the NBA tried to innovate by introducing a new microfiber basketball to replace the classic leather version. On paper, it seemed like an upgrade: better grip, more consistency, and modern technology. In practice, players hated it. The ball felt rough, bounced differently, and even caused small cuts on their fingers. Superstars openly criticized it, calling it unpredictable and unplayable. By January 2007, the league admitted failure and switched back to leather midseason. The mistake wasn't experimenting, but forcing a massive gameplay change without properly testing it with real players. It became a lesson in listening to athletes, not just lab results. Even today, veterans bring up the new ball disaster as one of the strangest missteps in NBA history. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. What comes next involves one of the ugliest moments in basketball history: the Malice at the Palace. On November 19th, 2004, a game between the Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons turned into the most infamous brawl in NBA history. It started with a hard foul, escalated when a drink was thrown from the stands, and exploded when Ron Artest charged into the crowd. Chaos followed. Players fighting fans storming the court, and security completely overwhelmed. The fallout was massive. Record-setting suspensions, shattered reputations, and a league desperate to repair its image. The NBA tightened security, changed arena alcohol policies, and cracked down on player conduct. But the stigma lingered as the league battled the narrative of being out of control. The mistake wasn't just the fight. It was years of tension between fans, players, and lax security boiling over in one night. It showed how fragile the NBA's image can be. And it gets worse because the next mistake cost one franchise nearly everything they built: Portland passing on Jordan. In 1984, the Portland Trailblazers owned the second overall pick in one of the greatest drafts ever. With Hakeem Olajuwon going first, they had a choice: select Michael Jordan or fill their positional need with a center. They chose Sam Bowie, believing they couldn't draft another shooting guard with Clyde Drexler already on the roster. Bowie's injuries derailed his career, while Jordan became the most dominant force in basketball history, winning 6 championships and changing the sport forever. The Blazers still had Drexler, but they'll forever be remembered for passing on the greatest player of all time. It wasn't just a miss, it reshaped the league's power for 2 decades, with Chicago rising into a dynasty. Portland's front office thought they were being smart, but they underestimated what Jordan could become. And you won't believe what happens later, when another franchise sacrifices its future for fading stars. Nets trading away their future. In 2013, the Brooklyn Nets went all in, trading multiple first-round picks for aging legends Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. At the time, it looked like a power move to compete with Miami's Big Three, but it backfired almost immediately. The stars were past their primes, the roster lacked depth, and the team collapsed quickly. Meanwhile, Boston used those stolen picks to draft Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, building a young core that still defines the Eastern Conference today. Brooklyn's gamble left them without draft capital for years, stuck in mediocrity and unable to rebuild. The mistake wasn't just misjudging age, it was mortgaging nearly a decade of potential for a short-term splash. Fans watched as Boston surged while Brooklyn languished. It's one of the most lopsided trades in NBA history, and it gets crazier because even Team USA wasn't immune to making mistakes that changed basketball forever. Team USA's 2004 collapse. The 2004 Olympics were supposed to be another showcase of American dominance, but instead, they turned into embarrassment. Team USA brought a roster with young stars like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony, but coach Larry Brown barely played them, relying instead on veterans who didn't fit well together. The result was sloppy basketball, poor shooting, and shocking losses to Puerto Rico, Lithuania, and Argentina. For the first time with NBA players, Team USA looked beatable, finishing with only a bronze medal. The mistake was arrogance, believing raw talent alone would overwhelm international teams that had chemistry, experience, and sharper fundamentals. The humiliation forced USA basketball to change its approach, emphasizing continuity, balanced rosters, and true commitment. It set the stage for the Redeem Team in 2008. But that's not all, because the NBA itself would soon face a lockout that damaged its own credibility at home. The NBA Lockout of 1998. When owners and players clashed over salaries and revenue sharing in 1998, the league ground to a halt. The lockout lasted more than 200 days, canceling games and wiping out nearly half the season. Fans were furious, TV ratings plummeted, and players scrambled to stay in shape, with some even playing overseas. When the season finally resumed, it was a condensed 50-game sprint that left rosters fatigued and quality down. The Spurs won their first championship, but the season carried an asterisk for many fans. The mistake wasn't just a financial fight, it was both sides forgetting how fragile fan loyalty can be. While owners protected profits and players fought for fairness, the league's popularity took a massive hit. And it gets worse because one decision soon after ripped away an entire city's team, leaving a fan base heartbroken for decades. The Sonics leaving Seattle. In 2008, Seattle lost its beloved Supersonics when the team was sold and relocated to Oklahoma City. The mistake wasn't just losing a franchise, it was how it happened. Ownership promised to keep the team in Seattle, but quietly pushed for a new arena deal that never materialized. When the city refused to pay up, the franchise packed its bags, leaving behind 41 years of history, a championship banner, and one of the most passionate fan bases in basketball. To make it sting even more, the very next season, rookie Kevin Durant blossomed into a superstar in Oklahoma City, alongside Russell Westbrook and later James Harden. Seattle fans were forced to watch what should have been their dynasty happen elsewhere. The NBA has admitted the relocation was messy, but no replacement has come. And you won't believe what comes next, because even one of the league's greatest players made a PR blunder that changed everything. LeBron's The Decision. In 2010, LeBron James went on live television to announce where he'd play next. The world watched as he said the words, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." Instantly, the reaction turned sour. Fans burned jerseys, media crushed him, and even neutral observers called it one of the biggest PR disasters in sports. The real mistake wasn't leaving Cleveland. It was the spectacle. Turning a career move into a made-for-TV event made LeBron look arrogant and disconnected from his fan base. Sponsors worried, his reputation dipped, and he became the league's villain overnight. Miami won titles, but the narrative followed him for years. What should have been a celebration of player empowerment instead became a cautionary tale about presentation. LeBron learned to control his image later, but The Decision remains one of the most polarizing moments in NBA history. And it gets worse, because the next experiment changed tanking forever. The Sixers' process years. Philadelphia's plan under GM Sam Hinkie was simple: lose on purpose to stockpile draft picks and eventually land superstars. For years, the Sixers rolled out lineups that barely resembled NBA rosters, chasing lottery odds over wins. Fans shouted, "Trust the process," but critics accused the team of embarrassing the league. Drafting Joel Embiid worked, but other picks, like Jahlil Okafor and Markelle Fultz, flopped. The NBA eventually stepped in, pressuring ownership to push Hinkie out. The real mistake was assuming endless losing guaranteed eventual success. It damaged player development, alienated veterans, and left a stigma that Philadelphia still fights today. Yes, the Sixers became competitive again, but they've yet to reach the finals. Tanking wasn't new, but Philly took it to extremes, and the fallout changed draft rules forever. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. What comes next is a scandal that nearly destroyed the league's credibility. The referee betting scandal. In 2007, NBA referee Tim Donaghy was exposed for betting on games he officiated. The revelation sent shockwaves through the sport. If fans couldn't trust the referees, could they trust the results? Donaghy claimed he never directly fixed outcomes, but even the suggestion damaged the NBA's credibility. Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire, especially after years of complaints about officiating in key playoff series. David Stern scrambled to save the league's reputation, increasing transparency and monitoring officials more closely. The mistake wasn't just Donaghy's actions, it was how the NBA had ignored complaints for years, allowing frustration to fester until a scandal exploded. The fallout lingers even now, with every controversial whistle sparking rigged chants online. Fans never looked at refs the same again, and it gets crazier, because even when the Lakers built a super team, they found out not all big ideas translate into success. Dwight's super team collapse. The Lakers believed they had recreated Showtime when they added Steve Nash and Dwight Howard to a roster already featuring Kobe Bryant and Paul Gasol in 2012. On paper, it looked unstoppable. On the court, it was a mess. Nash was injured, Howard clashed with Kobe, and chemistry evaporated. Instead of a dynasty, the Lakers limped to a first-round playoff exit. The mistake was believing star names guaranteed results, ignoring age, injuries, and personality conflicts. The pressure of Los Angeles magnified every issue, and Howard's lone season became a symbol of wasted potential. The Lakers lost valuable time building around Kobe's final years, while Howard's reputation took a massive hit. The experiment ended quickly, but its impact was lasting, proving that not every super team is built to last. And it gets worse, because the next story is about a young star whose injuries crushed an entire franchise's future. Derrick Rose's injuries. Derrick Rose was the youngest MVP in NBA history, the explosive centerpiece of a Chicago Bulls team built to challenge LeBron's Miami Heat. Then disaster struck. A torn ACL in the 2012 playoffs derailed everything. Rose pushed to return, but recurring injuries and pressure to come back quickly left him a shadow of himself. The Bulls never recovered, wasting years of defensive dominance with no offensive star to lead them. The mistake wasn't just bad luck, it was the mishandling of expectations and minutes that may have worsened Rose's long-term health. Chicago's medical staff and front office faced constant criticism for rushing timelines. Fans watched their future disappear in real time. Rose reinvented himself later, but the dynasty window had closed forever. It showed how fragile contention can be. And you won't believe what happens in the final section, where one conspiracy still sparks debate about how the NBA was built. Frozen envelope conspiracy. In 1985, the NBA introduced its first draft lottery. The New York Knicks ended up with the top pick and selected Patrick Ewing, instantly revitalizing the league's biggest market. But rumors spread that the lottery was rigged. Some claim the Knicks envelope had a bent corner, others that it was chilled so Commissioner David Stern could easily identify it. The NBA denied everything, but the suspicion never fully went away. Whether true or not, the theory has lived on for decades, fueling fan distrust every time a lottery result seems too convenient. The mistake wasn't necessarily rigging, it was creating a system opaque enough to spark endless speculation. The frozen envelope conspiracy became part of NBA lore, a reminder that perception can be just as powerful as reality. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.